silent, unyielding, the power of the desert. It rules Arrakis. Young Paul Atreides faced its trials and emerged as Muad'Dib, chosen by the power of the desert. He led the Fremen and drove them into battle for Arrakis. They crushed their enemy, leaving them no chance. After his deadly duel with Fate Truther, Paul was faced with a difficult choice. Together with his beloved and comrades in arms, Gurney Halleck and Stilgar, Emperor Shaddam IV could only wait for the decision. Everyone froze. His heavy gaze terrified Chang. Paul declared that he would marry the Emperor's daughter, the beautiful Princess Irulan. Everyone turned to Chani. She couldn't bear this betrayal and ran away. But no one could resist the will of Paul Atreides. The will of the future Emperor. They immediately launched their ships into the air. Paul knew there was no time to waste. And they all left Arrakis. All except her. Except the most important person. This path, Termenti Paul, seemed the only true one was a Kwisatz Haderach. With the help of that highliner, they reached their destination. The flourishing capital of the Empire. It stamped with its wealth and grandeur. The Emperor's arrival was lavish and grandiose. Paul's arrival, in contrast, was soldierly and modest. Her wedding ceremony was arranged immediately upon arrival. And though the ceremony was just a formality to them, Paul understood the importance of tradition and solemnity. Afterward, only one step remained to the throne. Of course, the Emperor was unwilling to share the throne and the royal signet ring, the symbol of power of the Empire. Together with the Reverend Mother, they showed all their hostility and hatred. But after the ring appeared on Paul's hand, all they could do was bow down before the new emperor, Paul Atreides. The crest of House Atreides now adorned the capital square. There the young emperor addressed the nobility and representatives of the great house. Some accepted the changes with calm. They were those who joyfully welcomed Atreides to the throne. But there were also those houses openly hostile. And the Bene Gesserit order was not willing to surrender, despite Paul's rapid takeover. But they would act from the shadows. An urgent war council was convened with the most trusted and wisest and warriors. Together they identified the top priorities and planned where urgent extreme measures were necessary. At the same time, a secret council of the Bene Gesserit was held. They were solely focused on regaining their power by any means. Even before sleep, Paul couldn't calm down and stop thinking about everything.
Wake up.
Another nightmare drove Paul to action. To deliver the secret message, the young emperor chose Stilgar. If only he would rush to carry out any command, blindly trusting the decisions of Lissam al-Gaib. Under the cover of night, he set out to carry out the secret mission. However, this night was not just about a single secret mission. The Order was not wasting time either. By morning, the troops were summoned. The most elite combat units were assembled into a single army, placed under the command of the young emperor. Together, they set out to suppress those who opposed the new regime. A secret mission of the Order led one of the sisters to a harsh and perilous prison planet. Known as a training ground for the elite warriors, the Sadugar, hardened by brutal survival conditions. They remained loyal to House Corina, and by extension to the Bene Gesserit sisters. The first obstacle to Paul's rule was the technological jewel of the Empire. The most advanced planet, supplying technology to the entire Empire. Their warriors wielded advanced innovations. They were hostile to the change of power and had no intention of backing down. Remaining in orbit, Paul met with Gurney on the ship to tell him about his plan. He planned to go for negotiations alone. Gurney was furious, and they had an argument, as he couldn't understand how he could risk everything so recklessly. Paul just asked to trust him, because it was the only way. Gurney had no choice but to trust his emperor. Due to constant productions, the atmosphere was spoiled, and the capital was under Dune, where Paul headed. The head of the house, the unyielding Dominic Bernius, who was waiting for him. Even though he didn't understand Paul's strategy and intentions, he felt confident in his superiority. The ruling council of Planet X was convened to hear the proposal of the young emperor. But he didn't plan to offer anything. Paul began immediately with the threat of devastation war that would claim not only lives, but also the technologies the council valued so highly. The council members became visibly nervous from the surprise. Anticipating their response, Paul offered them independence in exchange for technology. After consulting, the head of the house agreed to the deal. The most important target of the young emperor's expansion was the planet Ikas. It became the scent of militant resistance and the heartbeat of rebellion against the rule of Paul Atreides. They carefully combined technology and their nature. Their warriors were strong and resilient. Paul saw only one path here, through war. For the sake of peace throughout the Empire, he will have to shed a lot of blood. The Resistance Army controlled the movement of the enemy. The strongest units were also arriving. The warriors of Ikas took advantage of the element of surprise and dealt a devastation blow. For the Imperial Army, this strike was a complete surprise, and they suffered heavy losses. Their opponents warmed up for an open battle. Paul regrouped his army. And called them to battle. He led them into battle side by side with Gurmi. And as a true leader, he struck the enemy with a decisive blow first. And the battle began. The warriors fought desperately. The initiative passed from one side to the other. The battles with blades shifted to hand-to-hand combat and back again. After a long battle, the Imperial Army pushed the enemy back. But Paul understood that to achieve final victory, he needed to instill terror in the enemy. He did so, and the enemy fled. The warriors rejoiced. The losses were immense. Having gathered their battle-ready units, the Imperial forces continued their march to the capital. It passed through the dangerous and mysterious forest of Ikas. Paul noticed the tracks on the ground. It became clear that something deadly awaited them ahead. Forest guardians. These are large, trained panthers in armor. The forest guardians rushed to attack then invited guests. They easily dealt with the invaders one by one. But Gurney knew about the forest guardians and prepared a special squad. The hunt began. They captured all the guardians and secured the forest. The road to the city was completely clear. They walked through the suspiciously empty streets of the city all the way to the square. Seeing the ruler of Ikas accompanied by the Reverend Mother, Paul realized that nothing had been decided yet. They were lured into a trap where Sardaukar forces awaited them. Brutal killers, their forces greatly outnumbered Paul's exhausted squad. They were trapped in an ambush on the square. Hope was almost gone. But the secret message found its purpose. Chani responded. Stilgar completed the mission. Chanir led Dakin into battle. The Sardaukar reacted swiftly and launched an attack. Having lost the initial clashes, the Sardaukar realized that these were the same desert warriors who had defeated them on Arrakis. and they immediately surrendered. Arrakis and its warriors became the most formidable force in the Empire. Gurney arrested the ruler of Ikas. And the Reverend Mother of the Bene Gesserit. The lovers reunited. On Ikas, a trusted ally of Paul was to become the new ruler. He chose Gurney Halleck because it's his home planet. Everyone was amused by how Gurney used to soldiers' clothing, that angry that he had to wear ceremonial attire. The formalities are over. It's time to say goodbye. Paul and Cherny went home. Arrakis. Became the new home for Paul Atreides. Paul came to the elders and called for the use of sacred water. He said it was time to turn Arrakis into a green paradise.